God of War Ragnarok is not only a woke game, but also it destroys Kratos' character. In the game, we spend the story emasculating Kratos. You spend throughout the story with Atreus, his son, behaving like he's any better than his father, behaving like he thinks any better than his father. He screws up everything in the world surrounding Kratos, and all throughout the game, Kratos is fixing all of the problems, all of the pretty much the willing mistakes of his son. Whatever Atreus intends to do is innately a screw up. And Kratos is always the guy who's going to pick up on what his son screws up and he fixes it. And then his son has the gall in the game story to sit there and tell Kratos to be better. And then Kratos has the gall to sit there and tell himself, be better. When he is practically the most dependable individual in the entire world of God of War, Ragnarok, 2018, this whole new trilogy that they've been making. Okay, so this game and these characters are woke. And not only this, but the writing is terrible. And the writing direction of the game is terrible. The characters are stupid. The characters do stupid things, specifically Atreus. He does things where you're like, what the frick is he doing? Why is he doing that? For some reason in the story, he's trying to free Fenrir, who, as I understand it, and I don't think they actually did it this way in the game. I've seen the story how many times now, and I don't think there was actually a reason for Atreus, since the first time of me seeing it, and the second time, third time, whatever. There's no reason for Atreus to be freeing Fenrir. He's just doing it because he's like, I just have to. Oh, something about prophecy, bro. What are you doing? And all it does is cause problems for everybody. For some reason, he's doing it. For you as the player, you're not informed as to what the frick is Atreus thinking when he does all this retardar bull crap. Makes no sense. It's stupid. Atreus' character is stupid. Angerboda should not be in the game. Angerboda is a girl that's supposed to be a white woman. In Norse mythology, she is a white woman. They turned her into a black girl. Why? Because of wokeness. Because now we know about ESG, we now know about Sweet Baby Inc. We know that they had their involvement. It doesn't matter, okay? Because you have people who say that they're on the left, you have people who say they're on the right, and it doesn't matter, or whatever. Even saying the sides is stupid, because it's just at the end of the day, you got the liberals and the neoliberals, and they all say, and of course it's the neoliberals are woke conservatives, they all say there's no problem with making a white woman a black woman. What the frick is wrong with you? Why do we have to do these race changes? It's woke, it's stupid, nobody likes it. No, even the woke, they don't like it. No one cares about Miles Morales, no one cares about Angerboda, no one cares about all these forced diversity black characters. No one cares about them. But all that service is for woke identity politics, or specifically this woke identitarian politics. It is an entire philosophy, an entire ideology for these woke tards. In God of War Ragnarok, there is no reason for Angerboda to be black. She is not black, and that was exactly a woke move by the developers. She is an annoying character. She has no place on screen. She doesn't belong in the story. And all it does, this is only done to cuck out Atreus, to say that no, you shouldn't have a white girl that you're with, you should be with a black girl, because we need to force this whole thing about race mixing, and not only about race mixing, but also for some reason there's something wrong about a white dude getting with a white woman. So this is what they do. They cucked out Atreus. He should be with a smoke show white chick, some girl that's like, oh yeah, that's totally why Atreus is with her. No, Angerboda is ugly. She's not attractive, okay? She, in no reason, way, shape, or form, should Atreus be with her. Stupid, alright? And also, they make Atreus look like crap, okay? The character design for Atreus is stupid. He looks like, honestly, he looks kind of like a meth head, a crack addict kid. That's what he looks like. Most of the people look like freaking idiots and losers. Odin looks like some crotchety old dude. He doesn't look like freaking Odin. We know what Odin should look like. This is stupid. Thor, he looks like a fat drunk because that's what they wanted him to be. Okay, again, this is deconstruction of the character. They're trying to make you not take him seriously and not respect him. It's very easy to not respect Thor's character, given the way that he looks, given the way that he is. They did that for a clear purpose and intention, and that is so that they can deconstruct these characters, and so that you're like, oh, I don't really care about this thing or that thing being done to Thor's character because, he's a drunk loser, a fat idiot. Screw Thor. He doesn't matter anymore. Well, they went out of their way to make him look like a freaking loser. He doesn't look like Thor. He doesn't behave like Thor. This is not Thor. This is stupid. Again, you can't just selectively take from history. You can't make a Catholic game and then not respect the era and the culture and the heritage of a Catholic game, like in Diablo 4, where we make women, specifically black women, reverends. We make women and black women, we make them a part of the culture and a part of the leadership of a Catholic background. That is absolutely antithetical to Catholicism. Catholicism, white people, number one. Number two, Catholicism, huge tenet within the Bible is that men lead and women follow. Not only is this true just about reality, but it's true within Catholicism, it's true within Protestantism, it's true from the biblical religion. And for some reason, we have to deconstruct all these things. And we have to act like it's normal that for some reason, women are leading a bunch of dudes who believe in heaven and hell. They believe in angels and demons. They believe in God. They follow the Bible. For crying out loud, this freaking woke dog crap, man. You cannot do this where you take from a certain cultural background. You cannot make an Anglo-Saxon game with English architecture, with Italian architecture, whatever, concepts, themes, ethics, values. You can't do this and then make it some other race, make it Muslim, make it Hispanic, make it black. You can't do that because now you are destroying not only the immersion for the audience and for the purchaser of the world that they paid to be immersed into. And the only reason we care about stories is because we are immersed in those worlds and those stories. I believe that there's something so significant and so relevant about these characters, there's something realistic enough about the ideas for me observing it, that I'm in it, I'm ingrained, and I'm taking your story seriously. When you start to denigrate the immersion of your story, the immersion of your world, that is when you have destroyed your characters, that's when you've destroyed your themes, that's when you've destroyed the cultural basis, the thematic basis of your world, your characters. Wokeness does not work because it is not premised within reality, and that is what happened here. Norse people are white. Norse people, there's no black people. Norse people, these Norse gods are white. They are not to accommodate other groups and other beliefs and other backgrounds because that is not a part of the heritage. Again, if you're not going to respect or honor, you are doing a Norse-themed story with Norse-themed characters because you want to harken back to the relevance of that historical stimulus. Whatever those historical themes are, you are utilizing them so that you can make money off of, oh, you like Norse characters, right? Buy our game. That's what it's done for. Well, why are you doing a game that's meant to work within homage of Norse mythology or in something Anglo-Saxon, and then you make it about a different group, and then you sprinkle in other ethnicities, other cultural heritages or whatever? Why would you do this? Why are you deconstructing the cultural core of the very thing that you are trying to sell? I'm going to make a game about Irish people and I guess beer or whatever else. I don't give a crap. Red hair, blah, 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 Irish. And for some reason, I'm just going to make the Irish people black because that's right. That's totally realistic. Again, you are trying to sell this. You are trying to sell your games on the premise of their historical identity and relevancy. You cannot simply deconstruct these images, these values, these ideas, and just simply think you're going to get away with it. And simply think that, oh, people give a crap about this story still. Oh, people are still immersed within the story still. No, they're not. Freya is basically the goddess of, by the way, Mother Nature. Because she is the goddess of battle, war, death, but also life and birth. Okay, she's Mother Nature. She's not a girl boss. She's not a warrior. Freya, again, is Mother Nature. That is her symbolic identity. That's her archetype. What did they turn her into? Since the previous game in God of War Ragnarok, what did they do to Freya? They turned her into a freaking girl boss, an insufferable feminist girl boss. Freya literally behaves and thinks like a man. She's always raging all the time. She's always bickering at Kratos. She's always speaking down to Kratos. She's always just in contempt of men. She is a suffragette feminist. That's how they wrote her. That's how they intended her to be. She literally sits there in Ragnarok. By the way, she's ugly. She looks like she's hit menopause, and not only that she's hit menopause, but that she was never attractive. She's not a beautiful woman, and she should be a young hot chick. That's what she should be. That's Freya. They decided not to make Freya that. They decided to make her look like this old, weathered, crack addict, meth head of a freaking woman. She's not attractive. No guy is like, dang, I want to get inside of Freya. No guy sitting there saying that. How the frick is there a pantheon of gods that any guy would mate with this woman? I don't know. Okay? She has the crappiest genetics, and for some reason she's a goddess. Make the goddesses beautiful, and make the gods, lowercase gods, make these men, make them look like their esteem. How is it that these men are supposed to just be losers, but this is modernity for you? We can't be taking these characters seriously anymore. We can't have characters that are the representation of a pinnacle of man, a pinnacle of woman, a pinnacle, by the way, pinnacle of women, beauty. Pinnacle of man is performance, excellence. We can't have these characters anymore. We can't have legendary, upstanding characters. Everyone has to be a deconstruction of themselves. Everyone has to be a raging loser, because in modernity, we're obsessed with losers now. We're obsessed with the below average individual. We're obsessed with people who make excuses for themselves. Oh, I'm a giant freaking loser. Oh, I can't seem, for some reason, I can't stop stuffing my face full of food, so I'm just gonna become obese, and it's your fault that I'm obese. You don't get it. It's this reason, it's that reason, it's that other reason, it's all these different reasons. Shut up. You are the problem. You are the excuse. Get off your freaking fat, lazy freaking anus and work out. Stop making excuses for being out of shape. There is no excuse for being out of shape. No matter what age you are, you can be in shape. It's just your choice at the end of the day. And the excellence, by the way, of your physical appearance will have some accommodation through your age. And also how long you've been working out, and also what sort of nutrients or what kind of diet you're intaking. There's many elements that goes into the physiological aptitude, and also display the expression of your body is determined by many factors of how you treat your body as to when you work out or when you keep yourself in shape, how are you going to look. I could go on about that. We're not going to do that here. We're talking about this stupid dog water horse crap woke game, okay? The simple point is, people just make it up. They make a bunch of excuses for themselves. They're raging losers, and they don't realize you are the source of your problems. By the way, mental illness does not exist, is mental sabotage. Refusing to do what is better for you, refusing to do what you know what you should be doing, will cause more problems for you in your life than doing the simple things that you should be doing. For instance, how many people think that they can put off sleep? And then how many people deal with the outcome of not taking care of their sleep? Oh, I'm always low energy all the time. Oh, it must be something about the crappy Doritos I'm eating. Well, yeah, probably that, but also you don't sleep well. So of course, you have low energy. And of course, you're having issues in regards that is associated with bad sleep. And most people don't even educate themselves about these things. You have the entire freedom to educate yourself on these things. But, again, people don't want to educate themselves on anything because they're lazy. You are making excuses for yourself. You could go out of your way and study fast food and how it's bad for the body. There's plenty of information on that. No, you're too fat and lazy to educate yourself on this. So you're like, I guess I'm just fat because it somehow happened. That's so weird. You are the mistake. You are the problem. Fix yourself. Most people are slaves to their own complacency, and then they make excuses for why they're such a raging loser. Same thing happens with this game. Modernity is full with losers. We are now filled within a civilization of people who make excuses for themselves. For people who don't want to be excellent anymore, they want to be full of excuses, and they want to live a life where everybody accommodates them and panders and coddles them within their excuses. There's no excuse for being an idiot. When you are an idiot, now you have to fix your mistake. Oh, look, I keep eating crappy food. Oh, why am I freaking fat? Well, now you're gonna have to fix it. There's no excuse. There's no reason to pander you. There's no reason to coddle you. Fix your mistake that you caused onto yourself. Fix it. No one else is responsible for you. And that's where we come back to these characters. These characters are raging representations of modernity, of people from modern lens of civilization. Oh, loser, drunk character this. Oh, for some reason we have to make losers normal characters, normal people within our story. People who can't keep it together. And also, let's mention this though, all the women are girl bosses in this game. All the women are better than the men. All the women are wiser, stronger, smarter. They're much more composed. This is something in a lot of modern media. That includes JRPGs, a lot of Japanese products. They do this in their own way, but very similar. And of course, this is happening in a lot of American products. For some reason, women are as logical and stably minded, which, by the way, if you know anything about women, they're not stable and they're not logical for freaking crap. But for some reason, we make female characters who are apparently these noble women who are just so sound of mind, and they basically think like men. They're basically as logical and pragmatic as men, even in a warlike mindset where it's like, bad guy right there, you grab the knife and you cut the bad guy, he's dead now. We can't do that anymore. We have to pussify all of our male characters. Now, for a male character to sit there and say, hey, I got this axe, it's in your face now, because you're the freaking bad guy. You're standing in my way. I know what I'm fighting for is better than what you're fighting for. You're evil or whatever. You're just the enemy. Something of the matter. Okay, you're dead now. We can't do that anymore with male characters. We had to do that with the female characters. How many games? Literally Diablo 4. I did that review. And guess what they do in that game? The women get all the kill shots on the men. The women, they literally resist death. Lilith, freaking black woman reverend, Prava, whatever the F her name was. They literally resist death in the game. Literally, the women, they get the kill shots on all the big baddies in the game. The feminism is latent within these modern products, all this modernity bullcrap, and the men are pussified beyond any stretch of the imagination or belief. Now men have to be afraid that's like, oh look, bad guy, I'm gonna kill bad guy. Nope, now it's the woman. Now it's the woman. The woman's a bigger man than the freaking men in stories nowadays. And don't get me started. There's so many other games that do this. Spider-Man 2, for instance, did this. Go down the list. It's all the woke ESG bullcrap, though. Make the men as erratic. Make them as emotional. Make them as unstable. And we're gonna act like, by the way, this is normal. Oh, he's just being compassionate. He's just wearing his heart on his sleeve. Oh, he's just being vulnerable. No. The humanity of a man is not premised within behaving and thinking more like a woman. Men are stoic, and throughout history they've always been stoic because men are naturally and passively less sensitive as well as respondent towards emotion. Men do not over-respond to anything like women do. Women are the ones who will process through emotion first and reason second. Men process through logic and reason first and then emotion second. And that's why with men, especially male characters, they're typically, especially the more disciplined male characters, they're not going to show their emotions, and they're not just going to respond and blow up or whatever. That's why something might happen and the male character, you don't see any expression on his face. The reason for this is because men are less sensitive to their emotions. And by the way, you wouldn't have civilization and you wouldn't have safe civilizations without stoic men and without men being as they are. This is why men have been the inventors, the builders, the strategists, the leaders, because they are sound of mind. What do we do in the world of modernity nowadays? We deconstruct men, we make them out to be like women, we make them as erratic as women. Oh, he's just an irreverent drunk. Oh, he can't get his crap together. He's always biatching and moaning about, oh, I can't do this. I'm Kratos. I don't want to go to war anymore. I'm sad. Shut up. Jeez Louise. The real Kratos would be like, no, we go to war and this is what we do. We're men. Atreus, stop being a freaking pussified little biatch boy. It's freaking war, let's go. And Atreus, being raised by a non-biatch father, he'd be like, yeah, let's go, Dad. But we don't get those stories anymore. We have to get pussified Atreus and Kratos, where they're always in their feelings, always in their emotions. Kratos is about to cry, I can't do this, son. Oh, be better. You're right, Atreus. And Atreus is like, come on, Dad, just be better. We have this stupid dog water horse crap where we treat the men like women, where the men are processing through their emotions first, like women. And again, we have the women who are being more pragmatic. We have the women who are just like, oh, screw you guys and your freaking emotions. I'm just gonna go out with a freaking bang. I'm gonna go out to war. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get the freaking job done because you men are not good enough. You literally have the women who are quicker to reason and decision making. We flipped the gender role dynamics. And this is a part of woke leftist indoctrination and androgyny. Their entire purpose is to flip the script and to make you believe and buy into this idea that men are more like women and that's normal, and you start to not question it and you start to think a part of masculinity is behave more like femininity, and then they make the women more masculine. They make them more pragmatic. They make them quicker to the point. They make them have a simplicity of breath and thought. They write the female characters to be more decisive than the men. You will find this in many woke products, and this also happens in JRPGs. Understand this. In JRPGs, anime is gay, by the way. In JRPGs, women come onto men pretty much exclusively, more than men ever come onto the women. The women will sometimes be just deadpan. They'll be stoic. There's plenty of stoic female characters for some reason. We make them for this weird excuse of like strong female character, air quotes. Whatever the frick that's for, it's freaking gay, bro. We make the women, though, we make them more pragmatic. Go look at Tales of Arise, for instance. Shion, who's a smoking hot chick, by the way, I would rail her in 2 seconds. But the point is, Shion makes far more pragmatic, quickly discerning decisions, and she has a no BS mentality more than the main character, Alphen. Alphen gets moral hysteria about everything. If he sees slavery, he's like, oh my gosh, it's slavery. He freaks out. He just starts going erratic. And there's even a point in the game where she literally slaps him across the face so that he gets to his senses. Do you understand that is a complete flip up on the gender role dynamics? He's behaving like the woman, she's behaving like the man. And it's so funny because if a woman's being erratic, she's all like, blah, 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 going crazy. And he just slaps her across the face. Nowadays we say, oh my gosh, that is unacceptable. How dare you? We freak out. We start having a hysteria fit. And it's like, well, no, he's actually in the right. She's being erratic. She's being stupid. She's making up a freaking stupid story in her head. Oh, we can't do this and we can't do that. Oh my gosh, everything's at the end of the world. And then the logical male character's like, slap in the face, biatch, get the frick together. I'm fixing the problem. Be pragmatic. You're not okay, you're a woman, you're not pragmatic, so shut up, let me fix the problem, and it's going to be okay. Or at least I'll die trying to fix a problem, and then probably 2 generations down the road, it'll be my son, actually, who fixes the problem. Doesn't matter, men fix the problems, whether it's this generation or the next one. But being overly emotional and crying about everything, that's female behavior, that's female thought processing, and that's what we do now with male characters. And that's what you see in a game like Tales of Arise. This happens in many JRPGs, where they do everything in their power to androgynize the sexes. And this is a part of modernity where we make the women, they behave and they think more like men. And we make the men, literally, to a T, we make the men think and behave like women. To even the hysterically hilarious point that now we're having a weird gender dynamics between men and women, where the woman's behaving like the man. She wears the pants now. And that's what we're doing. We're making many female characters now, because of modernity, who wear the pants. If they're the friend, they're the accomplice, whatever of the male character, she thinks more pragmatically. Again, in Tales of Arise, you have Alpha, and he's sitting there, and he's saying, oh my gosh, it's wrong that this kingdom's going to war with us, and that they're against us, and that they want to enslave us, and blah, blah, blah. And you have Shion, who just sits there, don't care, doesn't matter, I'm just out to defeat the enemy, kill the bad guy, or the guy that for me is the bad guy, whatever, kill the guy that I'm against, and get my mission done. She's literally objective focused throughout the entire game, unlike Alphen, whose emotions and moral hysteria first. They are making women like men, and they're making the men like women. This happens in God of War Ragnarok, much like everything else that we're seeing nowadays. By the way, let's just be sincere about this. Batman is probably one of the last examples we have of a male masculine character. Also Geralt of Rivia. These guys were within the masculine archetype, and they were behaving very true to that archetype. Also Arthur Morgan. We had a good couple of games. They're gone now. We don't get any of that anymore. Now we get stuff like woke Joker in the game The Sui Squad. You know that game? Sui Squad, Kill the Justice League. What they do, though, with Freya in this game is that they made Freya a suffragette feminist, and they also even had a point in the game where Mimir sits there and says to Freya, you know what, I actually forget the line, but he says something about her being smarter than him, or no, you know what, I'm just gonna say it like this, actually. All I remember is that Mimir tells her, and he cedes ground to her, by the way, because they're having like a discourse. He tells her, though, that she has a more logical reason and point than he does, and that she bested him on the point that they were kind of bantering about. This happens within I think the Elven Forest part of the game. Literally, that is woke feminist dog water horse crap. Because the smartest man alive, that's what Mimir is supposed to be, gets bested in a discourse with Freya. I think they were talking something, though, about the conflict between the Wood Elves, and they were rebelling, I believe, against Odin. I think that was the whole thing they were discussing about, and Mimir just sits there and he just cedes ground to Freya, allowing her, apparently, to be the intellectual superior of their argument. And by the way, if you actually look at the argument that they were having, though, Freya's wrong. If you actually use your man brain against her woman brain, yeah, she's an idiot. She's a raging freaking idiot with her position that she has. And there's a bunch of counter arguments that you can make against Freya. But this is what we do with these characters. There are many points within the game where the women just get a one-up on the men, where the women are more reasonable than the men. And it's because the writers made it that way. It's because the writers want to sell feminism down your throat. You even have Thor's daughter, who's just basically a dude boss. I mean, she's a girl pretending to be a freaking... Actually, you know what? Let's put it like this. Not only is she a girl pretending to be a man, but she's basically a man in a woman's body, because she's just like eating nails for breakfast. She's like, no, I'm a freaking masculine guy. Look at my muscles. Look, I have super strength like my father. Yeah, dude, what's up? And by the way, I completely forget her name. I don't know what her name is. I don't know who the frick she is. I don't care. She looks freaking frumpy. She looks freaking meaty. She looks stocky like a freaking guy. And we're supposed to buy, oh yeah, this is a woman, bro. And then, by the way, what they do with Heimdall in this game is a freaking joke. Because Heimdall, for one, in the boss fight, how he's defeated is just stupid. Technically, he's the kind of villain that you just can't defeat. But somehow Kratos just gets the upper hand on him at some point, which is just ridiculous. Personally, I have an idea of how they could have better written how to defeat Heimdall, but that's not what they did. They didn't go out of their way to try like stimulus overload, because his whole idea, I guess, is that he can read your thoughts and intentions. Now, they never estimate how many thoughts and intentions he can read, but you could make him defeated by the fact that there's too much going on at one time, that he can't read so many thoughts at one time, that then he gets overwhelmed, and then that's how you defeat him. That's not what they did here. Somehow you defeat him by just hitting him. That's literally all it is. One of the tricks that you do is that you use the spear, which is basically a remote detonator. detonator, and that's how, because he can't read the intentions of remotely detonated spear. Okay, well, he can read the intentions of where you're throwing the spear. He can use his eyes. There's so many, again, he was just defeated out of stupidity, bro. And then the other thing about Heimdallr is that this dude is probably one of the more likable characters in the game and a much more masculine character. And he's supposed to come across as a douchebag little whelp that you hate, and you're like, oh, what a piece of trash. And oh, he would dare hit a woman, even though we believe women are equal to men, whatever. And we believe that Thor's daughter is a girl boss, but it's like, oh my gosh, you would punch a girl? Oh, he punched Atreus? Well, who cares, right? Atreus is a dude. But, oh my gosh, what a piece of trash. But who cares? Who actually cares? Because everybody's equal, I thought. Anyways, Heimdall thinks like a dude out of everybody else because he just doesn't think like a freaking effeminate, emotions first, loser female male character. Now, let's be clear though, none of these characters are likable, but whatever. And then also again, Thor's wife is apparently more rational. She's keeping her crap together much better than Thor himself, because for some reason we have to make female characters who are always wiser, far more centered and emotionally resilient than men. Again, go look at real life. This is not true. Women are raging lunatics when it comes down to their emotions, and we're going to act like that this propaganda about men and women and how we're faking the truth behind what a man is and what a woman is, we're acting like it's okay. We're acting like this is real. Anyways, they deconstruct Kratos' character, and they go out of their way to make Kratos afraid of war, afraid of fighting. And this guy is a freaking, what? He's like a demigod or whatever. This is his entire inherent purpose, his inherent identity. And who Kratos is, he's not afraid of conflict. Even if he were an older character, he wouldn't be afraid of conflict. But this is what we do. We had to put all this nihilistic existentialism because we had to make Kratos, he's, oh, I can't believe I'm gonna die. Oh my God, I'm getting older. Doing that freaking bullcrap. Instead, just make him be a man and be like, no, we keep going to war. No, we keep true to our mission until we're dead, son. We don't have characters like this anymore. We don't have pragmatic male characters who are set on the objective, the mission, the goal, despite their mortality or whatever it is. And that's how we used to make these characters. They came to terms with their reality. But now, and for whatever reason, you got freaking leftards and neoliberal tards. They all sit there and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so mature, Kratos. The fact that he's basically a raging nihilistic existentialist. Oh my gosh, he's so smart. No, you are just using this character as a projection point for your own problems, which I get it. But just because he is contemplating with something that is super modern day that you're also contemplating with does not make it deep. Most people, though, they refuse to think. Most people, they live within the fantasy mind. So thoughts that used to be just like a crossword puzzle, a common day trope or idiom to a pre-modern male, to a man that used to be of older generations, a traditional man, this is horseplay for them. This is the crossword puzzle that a child would solve. Past men thought about deeper issues and deeper intellectual thoughts than this. But because so few men nowadays want to come to terms with their reality, and so few men want to think at all, instead we are obsessed, and no, we are addicted to our sedation. The second you have a baseline ethics 101 thought, basically, this is the first day of your life that you chose to think out of the last 365 days. You're like, wait a second. I noticed that women are different from men. They menstruate and they get more emotional. And when I talk about problems, they always internalize it. That's weird. That's so strange. I noticed that women, they cannot lift heavier weights than men. That's strange. Huh. Oh, that's strange. I noticed there's other countries with their own borders. Well, that's weird. I never considered why there might be a border. Huh. Interesting. Oh, that's really strange. I noticed that healthier people, they don't eat a bunch of junk food. Huh. Oh, that's strange. I notice that every day I need to drink water in order to survive. Huh. That's really weird. That's so strange. I wonder if that has an existential meaning behind it. Huh. You know what? I'm going to put on my thinking cap. That's really interesting. You know what? I came down to a new position today. There's such a thing as theists and atheists, interestingly enough. And I've thought about this long and hard. There are those who believe in a god, and there are those who do not believe in a god. Very strange. And the longer you think about it, they're very committed to their position. You have these raging loser idiots. Liberals and neo-liberals. Neoliberals being fake conservatives who live within their emotions, and they think this is deep. This is crap that was child's play. For past men and past generations, past men, they thought about these topics and these issues for longer and much more in depth. Go read a mother effing book. Do you have any clue how many modern people, their minds would be broken by the thoughts and the concepts of old thinkers? There's a bunch of stuff you'll read and you'll be like, what does he mean? I don't get it. We don't have intellectual comprehension anymore these days, and we also lack intellectual contemplation. This is showing through in our stories now today. Specifically, you look at God of War Ragnarok, that is happening now, where people think that a thought that is like common sense or it's run-of-the-mill intellectual thinking, they now think it's deep. They now think it's monumental or revolutionary, and then it takes them back and they're gasping for breath. Oh, I can't believe that thought. That's so wise and that's so well-founded, and I am now confounded. Interesting. Wait, so you're telling me that a thinner person can run faster and longer than a raging land whale? Interesting. I wonder what that means about existentialism then. You're not smart because you can observe reality. When you can observe reality and then you think yourself as intelligent, no, that means that you have misperceived yourself. You have deceived yourself of the truth. And you have been living a life devoid of reality. And it doesn't matter who you are, because living within the fantasy mind is your choice. Oh, that's interesting. When you have more money, you seem to be, hold up, I'm coming up with a new word, wealthier than someone with no money at all. I wonder if there's a word for having no money. That's really deep. I will have to think about this even deeper at a later time. I hope they make a sequel so I can spend $70 so we can discover the concept of poverty. Pseudo-intellectuals. This game was made for pseudo-intellectuals. When you look at the story beats of God of War Ragnarok, it's dog water horse crap. It makes no sense. There's story events that happen and you're like, wait, that's not logical. That doesn't make any sense. Why did that just happen? Why are we going from this place to that place? All it is, and it's much like most of modern entertainment nowadays, it's a compilation reel. It's, God of War Ragnarok moment here. God of War Ragnarok moment there. We're gonna add a bunch of filler and bloat to our story because we don't have ideas. We just, Kratos needs to go sweep a floor. Kratos needs to, he needs to go fight some chick's grandmother. Sorry, that's his son. His son needs to go fight the chick's grandmother because, the one that's mixing up a bunch of crack cocaine. Yes, we're gonna have really compelling storylines, really compelling narrative plots about stuff that is really lazily put together and thought through. Because that is now what's interesting in modernity. Stupidity and everything that wastes your time. Things that lack substance. That is what has value nowadays. Getting back on the topic of Freya, suffragette feminist, she literally tells Odin, bow to your queen, when Kratos is the one, by the way, that defeats Odin. But for some reason, Freya has this little strand, this magical strand in her hands that is basically a representation of the chains of patriarchy, which is Odin. Odin represents the over-controlling chains of patriarchy, and when Freya tightens it, it chokes Odin and it kills him or whatever, something, or it just chokes him out and then someone else kills him, as I remember. I actually forget what kills Odin, because then Loki opens up, Atreus opens up the random little, I think, portal thingy that we don't really even know what it is. The portal thingy is stupid. I don't know, it's like a tear in reality. Don't care. Whatever the frick it is. Freya is freaking gay, just sitting there. She tightens the strand cord in her hand, and then again, it's choking out Odin. And she sits there and she tells him, bow before your queen. That is just outright, that's just feminist horse crap right there. A woman having any kind of authority, and especially in that scene, that kind of idea of a woman having authority over a man, that right there is woke feminist propaganda. And guess what? The liberals and the neoliberals will tell you, that was such a deep scene. Oh, that was so moving. Oh, that was so wonderful and beautiful. And oh, Freya, you're so beautiful. You're so strong. And once they're done jerking off over Freya, you know, looking at her man jaw and looking at her frazzled hair, and they dream of getting freaking railroaded by her when she's pegging them, then they're like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you like strong women? Strong female characters are beautiful. And they're inspiring. And even though no one talks about it anymore, no one gives a crap about her character, I, the neoliberal or liberal, I love her character. And there's something morally wrong with you for not loving her strong, independent character. This game was made by ideological losers, by leftist fanatical freaks. And all they do, Odin is an excuse to be the whipping boy for patriarchy. He is the stand-in. He is the archetype of patriarchy within the game. And what Kratos is basically reformed masculinity, reformed patriarchy. He's not patriarchy, but that's the idea for the feminists, is that this is what patriarchy ever should have been, is a man like Kratos, a man that's in touch with his emotions. Yes, when people are screwing everything up around him, he sits there and like a good little slave, he fixes their problems. And then when he's done fixing their problems, he creates a world where everyone sings and kumbaya with each other, you know, multi-ethnic, multiple men and women. Oh, look, female leader. And again, they turn a freaking boar that you shoot and kill because you're hunting. In the previous game, they turn that into a black guy in this game. Because again, they have to force in ESG, they have to force in these black characters. And by the way, because it's ESG does not mean that these companies are off the hook. They're doing this for ideological reasons, and just so happens that the government is also woke, and it's giving a budget for woke developers. It's all wokeness still. The government's just playing in hand with it. Effectively what it is, the government is taking your money and they're using it to funnel propaganda rather than enriching the lives of their citizens. Huge word that everyone forgets nowadays, citizen. Rather than enriching the lives of their citizens, they would rather throw your money away to non-citizens and also for propaganda. Oh, isn't that interesting? It's almost like taxation is a really good deal, isn't it, guys? That's what they're doing with this dog water horse crap. Entertainment and media. And then you have a stupid scene, by the way, where some guy has like a hero's moment. They play this legendary epic music when they're using the boat that's in the sky. It's, I think it's Freya's brother's boat, whatever the frick that's for. And the guy literally just kamikazes himself off the frickin' boat to take out two birds. Literally, he could have just missed the birds. But it's like there's this moment where just suddenly you have like these dragons, I guess, dragon riders attacking them. And because they're running away from some frickin' biatches. And he just leaps off the boat. Well, that was the dumbest decision you ever could have made. You could have just died and not have a heroic moment. He got lucky and he hits a frickin' bird. And then he takes out another bird. And then he's dead. I mean, how the frick are you gonna survive that? But dude, it's a no-name dude. It is the most laughable scene in the game. It's like, who is this guy? Like, he's just having a freaking moment on screen. Like, he's a freaking BA warrior. Oh, what a freaking legend. What a hero. Who is this guy? But that's what this story is about. It's making the irrelevant relevant. Tyr, by the way, is just an absolutely pussified male as well. Golly, there's so many characters that are a problem in this game. But Tyr is a pussified male. He's also a god of war. And for some reason, he just doesn't want to go to war. No, he wants to be a god of peace. What? Come on, dude. The deconstruction is real. Again, they hate masculinity and they hate the reality of why there ever was war and conflict throughout history in the first place. Instead, we have to now be these raging pacifists, these raging hippies because they want to program you through their crappy woke game to think that it's just normal to be like, oh, kumbaya, bro. Oh, yeah. War is such a bad thing, bro. It's stupid. Bro, throughout history, there's a lot of reasons for wars to be held, to be led. Some of them were completely meaningless. We have a couple nowadays that are completely meaningless. That's outside of the point. A part of masculinity is being a warrior, is being a soldier, is willing to fight for your beliefs. And that's what's created the most prosperous nations. And by the way, they never would have been prosperous unless they were willing to go to war. Because guess what? There's evil cultures, bad cultures. Their ideals are worth less than other civilizations, other cultures. You cannot blend these cultures together, and that's why there's wars, and that's why they fight each other, and that's why they take things from one another. This is history. This is normality. There's a reason it happens. But these pacifist hippies who live within a civilization that's rather quite safe, rather quite lavished, and prosperous, they take it all for granted because for some reason they can't come up with their head why the reality they live in today is the way it is. They have been afforded by past men who died and fought for their beliefs and their convictions. They are now afforded today their luxuries. And instead of having respect for past warriors, past soldiers of generations ago, they want to be these pacifist hippies, whatever, and say, war is bad. Oh, how dare you like your war games, or how dare you like your war philosophy? How dare you read The Art of War? How dare you think like a warrior, like a man that's willing to get into the ring and fight? How dare you? Yeah, dude, you live in a safe country because of those men, you raging libtard. There's a very different reality that would exist if they didn't go to war. And by the way, there's certain cultures that have been uplifted through war. Let's not forget that either. But here we are. We have to pacify what men have always done throughout history and what they needed to do throughout history. The sincere practicality of a man's role within civilization. We now have to disrespect that, and now we have to make these stories that are propaganda telling you never go to war over your beliefs. How dare you? Again, the best nation that's been made ever since Rome and Greece, called America, by the way. We started this country based upon a war because we realized that who we were with previously, basically who our cultural founders were in a sense, we realized that they were wrong. So we went to war because we wanted to annex ourselves off from them, and we ended up making a nation that was more than 100 times better than their crappy stinkhole because they had worse ethics. The English were screwing up where the Americans knew to do better. And by the way, that is no representation of today. You have many idiots who want to reform a very good government that we have today, and they don't have ideas. They want to be revolutionaries without ideas. Well, guess what? You're just going to destroy the world, and you're going to destroy your fellow countrymen's state of prosperity, their well-being. You are going to destroy everything that is good for your fellow countrymen because you hate and you have a scorn for reality. Anyways, back on the track of that, there's a reason why our founding fathers of America, why they went off and fought for what they believed in, and that ended up making one of the best nations, the best nation on the freaking planet. You have other countries, for instance, the European Union. It wouldn't exist without America. If there were not America, the European Union would be chewed up by other countries, and you can think of what those other countries are. They would not exist today. We hate the war mind. We hate the masculine mind, even though we cannot live in a world without it, and we don't realize all the good that comes through it. And that's what we do with this game here. It is blatant propaganda. It is trying to teach you, is trying to wire you, program you to despise masculinity, to become more like a woman, think more like a woman, have the sensibilities of a woman rather than that of a man. You need to be a raging little biatch rather than a man, rather than a strong, disciplined, stoic male. And isn't it interesting, by the way, isn't it interesting that during those patriarchal, those evil, twisted, bent backwards generations, of men who are just so intolerable and they were evil and they were wrong. Isn't it interesting? Think about this for 2 seconds. Isn't it interesting that those generations had the least amount of mental illness? Isn't it interesting? And by the way, that's by discernible metrics, not, okay, I don't even have to say anything on that. Whatever. Some people just want to make up excuses. Doesn't matter. They screw those freaking losers. But isn't it interesting? In the most bigoted era of generations of men, by the way, the most traditional generations of men, isn't it interesting that those generations have far more and always had more psychological stability than today? And today, when we think more effeminately and we're now all addicted to our emotions, isn't it interesting how big of an issue now mental illness is? Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting how no one has their crap together? How people are flying by on the seat of their freaking pants? Isn't it interesting how so many things are being screwed up? But I thought this was the Enlightenment. I thought, oh yeah, by the way, isn't it interesting how nihilistic everything is and how hopeless and demoralizing everything now is, especially our modern stories, books, movies, television, gaming? Isn't that interesting? I thought these were the enlightened individuals. I thought this was the most enlightened generation. I thought we had it all figured out. Guys, I thought we were the future. Yeah, this is what happens when you put propaganda first and you put reality second. You cannot remove reality, and what we are doing now destroyed Greece, it destroyed Rome, and guess what? We are repeating the same, and it's not just those nations, by the way. There's other lesser nations, but those freaking behemoths, Goliathans of their civilization, their window of time, they screwed up by doing many of the things that now we are doing that's screwing us up. It's not rocket science, bro. But for freaking liberals and neoliberals, reality, once they stop living within their fantasy mind for 2 seconds, reality becomes an intellectual prospect zone. And they're like, oh, interesting. When you charge a device, there's electricity that is powering the device. Oh, interesting. So it's almost like you need power to utilize technology. Interesting. Oh, interesting. When you read a book, you contemplate new ideas. Oh, interesting. Yeah, for freaking idiots. Considering basic bullcrap becomes intellectualism for them because they've decided to retard themselves. They decide, I'm just not going to think about anything. I'm just going to say that there's something problematic and stupid about reality. And then when I go ahead and I reinvent the wheel, I'm going to act like I'm a freaking genius. You are an idiot. This all goes without saying. God of War Ragnarok destroyed Kratos' character. God of War Ragnarok destroyed Atreus. I mean, Atreus was already a crappy character, but he was far better. And Kratos was far better in 2018. And of course, they changed directors and I think writers as well. They made a lot of administrational changes from the previous game to this game now, this woke freaking effing game. They went out of their way to emasculate the men. They went out of their way to make the women better than the men, more reasonable than the men. That the women are, oh, she's too good for this world. By the way, feminist archetype right there. A woman who's too good for this world. She's too kindred. She's too composed. Oh, and the men around her, they're just so irreverent. They're belligerent losers. It's feminism, bro. It's to make men out to be what they're not. And it's to weaponize the idea of men and act like they're undependable, unstable, Homer Simpson losers. And let's not even get to the fact, by the way, that the Ragnarok scene of the game was an absolute joke. It was so stupid. It was so terribly done. It was so anticlimactic. I don't know what the frick they were thinking, but it was so closed off. It wasn't this like giant epic war that you expect to see. And I'm just gonna say this, bro. It has become very clear. Modern media, it's not good anymore. Nowadays, the bar has been dropped so extensively that if you expect to get awesome scenes, great storytelling, you're an entitled little bigot is what you are. And How dare you want a good product? You're so entitled. And these freaking simps for these game developers, these outright shills for people that are not paying them, they say, oh no, it's good, bro, it's good, bro. Oh, it's good. Oh no, how dare you say that money shouldn't be spent on this product? How dare you? No, yeah, money shouldn't be spent on this product. Yeah, no, a developer, a storyteller should have to work for my dollar. I want you first to make something of quality and something that does not constantly break my immersion. How about you do that? How about you justify me spending money? How about you put sexy women into a product? How about you do that? How about you put women into a product that we want to look at, not rather than a bunch of hysterical feminist gender studies women? How about that? How about we make a bunch of characters that we want to look at and not a bunch of ugly characters we don't want to look at? How about you make a story that is worth considering? How about you make a story that's worth purchasing? How about you make a game that's worth playing? How about you do your freaking job? By the way, you can do anything within fiction. You can write a story that's nihilistic. You can do all kinds of stuff. But when you're a raging lunatic, leftist, woke-tard loser, you can't make good stories. You're incapable of it because you do not understand the fabric of through the very blueprint of what makes a story. You do not understand that storytelling is premised within reality. And the second you work without reality, you no longer have a story, and you no longer have a story that's serving the existential purpose, which is passing down generational value. You're no longer making a story that's worth anyone's time. You're no longer making a story as to the reason why we even spend money on stories in the first place. It's fiction, bro. It doesn't exist. Why do we care about fiction? Because it's a proxy for reality in sometimes the most fantastical, the most spectacular manner you can imagine. That serves many psychological functions for the human mind, but you cannot make a compelling story that people will spend money for, and that they should spend money for, if you live within the realm of political, ideological propaganda. Making a story where the women are as strong as men. Guess what that does? You are destroying the premise of femininity and masculinity, and you are also selling a lie. No one has a reason to spend money on your crappy woke product when you're selling people lies. You are a deceptive demon. No one has to give you money when you lie to the customer and you offend common sense. This also has application towards the other things, stuff like multiculturalism, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, make no mistake, God of War Ragnarok completely debases Kratos' character. Kratos' character is absolutely destroyed, absolutely undermined. He's afraid to be a man, and we're acting like it's normal that he behaves more like and thinks more like a woman. Overwhelmingly, this game, what it did, it destroyed Kratos. It destroys the legacy of his character, his brutality, his bluntness, his decisiveness, as well as his no BS attitude. All of that is now destroyed. This guy is apparently within this game, he's having a mortal crisis. And yet this is a guy that's slain literal gods, immortal beings, and he's now concerned about mortal, commoner, plebeian problems? Come on, dude. This is the point that we don't realize. These characters, and this is not an excuse, and this is not exactly what the premise of the point should be on, but these characters are pinnacles of men. They exist outside of mundanity. When you apply mundanity to a spectacular, a fantastical character, you are destroying the fantasy or the fantastical nature of that character. And I don't mean fantasy within the gay, modern sentiment of what that means. People have just used it as a weird coping mechanism kind of word. Okay, I don't care what those people think. Simple as this. There used to be a historical meaning behind fantasy. It wasn't this stuff about power fantasies or any of this freaking gay stuff, okay? It's not this unattainable kind of idea or concept or virtue, whatever, some kind of value that's unattainable and unrealistic. That's not what it's about. That's what we say now in modernity because everyone's a raging loser. No. These characters were the pinnacles of virtue. They were the pinnacles of ideals, and we spent money to see that pinnacle of the ideal or the virtue. These characters are timeless, and once you start applying any kind of corrosion that you might want to apply with time to these characters, or specifically if you just simply want to apply the corrosion of time to these characters, whatever that might be. Because, by the way, time does not always mean corrosion. Sometimes it's the reblossoming of opportunity or of adventure or of new situations, some kind of novelty that brings new opportunity. Time can represent both decay and opportunity. Guess what our stories and our characters nowadays are about? Decay. Think about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Decay. Harley Quinn, she's now ugly. Why is that? Well, people are going to make a bunch of time excuses, a bunch of time arguments. Well, it's this reason, that reason. Eventually everything just turns into crap. The longer anything is anything, it turns into crap. That is both true and wrong. And when you consider it from a leftist fanatical position, from a left-tard's position, yes, all there is decay. For materialistic losers like yourself, all there is decay. But guess what? In the world of reality, there's also opportunity with time. There can also be a glory with time, and that's what our old stories used to tell. Think of a story, for instance, like the Odyssey, with a character like Odysseus. There's both an element of decay with time, and that's what he's mourning throughout this story, is that he's away from his family, he's away from his wife, he's away from his son, he's away from his home, he's away from his servants, he's away from all these people that he knows and that he has this intimate relationship to, where all of his relevance is vestiged and stored within. He is mourning the fact that he is away from these things that have value, and a part of that story is the opportunity of coming back home. That is the story. There can be great opportunity and great elements for many stories in many different elements with time, but for these leftards, all there is decay with time. They justify that people should be uglier because of time, even though that's completely false, but okay, whatever. And listen, it's just completely gay to even consider that position. It should be common sense, and it shouldn't even be a conversation on the table to even talk about that kind of a concept. But this is what they argue, is that, you see, we're in the 5th installment of our series, and we just thought that would be more realistic that we make everybody uglier. No, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing that? No, what it is that you're a raging loser. You don't take care of yourself. There's a bunch of downfalls and pitfalls about yourself that results in a bunch of blemishes that you had ever since you were 13 years old, and you just decide to cope through it by saying, you know what, our characters, they really shouldn't be as relevant as they used to be, or they shouldn't be as powerful or meaningful as they used to be. These characters, let's be very clear about this, these characters are timeless. And when you start applying to them the decay of time, you are now destroying the inherent value of that character, and that's what they did with Kratos. And I'm gonna put it very simply. You put the story that we just got, God of War Ragnarok, and there's many modern stories that if you put it in the hands of me, if you put it into my hands, I would have made a better story. I can come up with not only a rough draft, but an execution of a far greater story. By the way, this is true about things like the Mario movie. This is true about Star Wars Force Awakens, about the rest of that trilogy. This is true about many woke products today. Put these stories in the hands of someone like myself, and you will get a better story. You will get a story, and that includes this game. I can already come up with, in my head, a far better, grander narrative than this dog water horse crap that we got here. This is trash. There are better writers than this. We used to hire better writers, and now they're all gone because we decided to say that leftards, they should have a creative monopoly in the industry, even though they can't prove their ideas, even though their ideas are trash, even though they can't sell a product, even though nobody likes their products. Doesn't matter. They should have a monopoly, and now they're ruining one product after another. Atreus tells his father, be better. No, leftard writers and developers, you be better.